Welcome to this edition of Just Parlays. I'm Jim Williams, and my partner in crime here is Chris King. Chris, welcome back. And here we are on a Tuesday, and it is the big news is that Adam Schefter was right on Saturday. That is that Tom Brady is not going to be playing football any longer. He's going to, go out and put together a nice farm in Montana or something. I have no idea what he's going to do, but hey, you're in the right, so whatever it is, right?
And the weird thing was he said last night that he hadn't made his decision yet, so apparently either he made his decision really quickly or he was lying to everybody yesterday when he said he didn't make up his mind.
Well, it's kind of those things where you wake up in the morning and you say, okay, let's just end it here. I think because of if you think about how many years, okay, 3 years of high school, 4 years of the University of Michigan, 22 years in the National Football League, okay. You're looking at about 30 years worth of playing football. So, I'm not so certain what it's going to be like for him at the times, as you get ready to OTA and all that other stuff when the football season rolls around, just how, excited he's going to be to stay at home. But, eventually you all have to end. I asked Barkley one time when he came to the realization that that he should retire. And he told me 2 years after I signed the contract with the Suns. So clearly, Chuck was right. I mean, he basically said I stole 2 years worth of money from the Suns.
That's just terrible.
Yeah, but that's typical Charles being Charles. But at the end of the day, it's an amazing career and one which can be tough to beat. And I know that we have folks yesterday who asked us if Joe Burrows is Tom Brady, and he may be in time. Maybe Josh Allen is that guy. Maybe it's Mahomes. Maybe it's somebody we don't even know yet. But it'll be interesting what a career Tom had.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we had to figure a decision was coming because he had a $15 million bonus that was coming up due Friday. So it's probably a good decision. Good for the franchise that he made the decision now. So now they don't have to worry about that. Get a little more flexibility probably with the cap. But now you have to wonder who's going to take over that role of quarterback. And I don't think it's going to be Blaine Gabbert. And I don't know if Kyle Trask is ready.
Well, I know that Kyle Trask had gotten a lot of tutelage by Brady. And in many ways, Kyle Trask's style is very much like Brady. I mean, he doesn't he was kind of that guy who was overlooked in high school because DeMar King, who went to Miami, was ahead of him. And so everybody was watching him and wasn't paying attention to Trask. Trask's only major college offer was from Florida. He got there. Felipe Franks got hurt. And then Dan Mullen put him in. That was the end of the game. He stayed there. And he basically, if you watch the championship game between Alabama and Florida, that's that year that Trask, matched Matt Jones, pass for pass, almost to the end. So it was, could he be the guy? I'm not so sure that Byron Leftwich is ready to turn the keys to the treasure house over to him. But I don't think right now the starting quarterback of the Buccaneers is on their roster.
That's right. It's going to be Blake Bortles.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you and I have a better chance.
The thing about that is when I told LA last night that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to be the next quarterback of the Steelers.
Did he go into mourning at the moment you said it, or what was the deal?
His co-host said that LA would go pick him up at the airport with clubs so he could beat him senseless. And then dump him on the side of the road because he does not want Jimmy Garoppolo anywhere near the Steel City.
Well, I think if I'm betting on Pittsburgh, like I said, Jameis is someone who has talked with Mike Tomlin a lot. Um, so he would be somebody that I would see potentially going there. Um, Kirk Cousins is another one. I mean, is that the one I want? No, but if you look at Kirk Cousins in his career, he's been a great placeholder. So we will see what we will see. Before we get started, because we have plenty of good stuff coming up, let me tell you about a new offer. And this new offer comes to us from our friends at Caesars, of course. Now, here's the deal. And that is, they have a new mobile offer. Now, you have to use the Bet Caesars, app. And what you want to do is when you get that Caesar Sportsbook app, you want to download it, and they're going to match your first deposit with a free bet up to $1,500 when you deposit at least $50. So what you need to go out and do is go to the App Store if you have an iPhone, or go to the Android, Google Play Store, download the, Caesars Sportsbook app, then make a deposit of $50, and then they're going to match your first deposit with a free bet up to $1,500. Okay. Now, obviously, you're going to have to use the promo code, and the promo code is WINNERS. Okay, WHINERSCSZ. No, it's SCZR. Okay, there you go. I kind of really botched that. Let me do that one again. WHINERSCZR. All of that is in the show box below. By all means, what we want you to do is to go out there and to do it, because that's really kind of a cool thing. And there's the promo code rolling by right as we speak. And mark it down in the show box below. And of course, that is from our friends at Caesar Sportsbook, where we always say, number one, you must be 21 years of age to participate, and always, always wager responsibly. And our first responsible wager today comes from a game that's going to be played in the Pittsburgh. Is it at Pittsburgh or at Richmond?
Yeah, it's in the Steel City.
Okay. Downtown Pittsburgh, the Dukes and the Richmond Spiders.
Yeah, Richmond's favored by 6.5 over Duquesne. Let's face it, nobody's liked Duquesne all season. I'm not going to start now. Richmond's 13-8, Duquesne 6-12. Even worse, Duquesne's only 3-6 at home. If you can't win in your own building, you have problems. On top of that, they're 287th in scoring offense, 67.3 points a game. They're 308th in field goal percentage, 41.2%. They're 333rd in 2-point shooting, 45%, and they don't share the ball. They're 347th in assists. They're facing a Richmond team. Chris Cooney has done a great job in the last 2 years, and he's got a whole bunch of seniors on that team: Grant Golden, Nick Sherrod, Nathan Ko. They're 132nd in scoring offense, 73.5 points a game. They're 92nd in threes at 8.5 per game. 39th in assists. Richmond 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 on Tuesday. They're 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 on the road against teams with a losing home record. More importantly, they're 12-3-1 against the spread in their last 16 on the road. This going back to last season. Meanwhile, Duquesne 0-6 in their last 6 after a straight-up loss. 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 overall, and 0-4 in their last 4 against teams with a winning record. When you get right down to it, the Spiders are the better team. I feel bad for Keith Dambrot. They had some good players for the last year, and they all left. I guess they don't want to play in Pittsburgh. Seems to be an ongoing trend for athletes in that city. Look for Richmond to get the win there.
It's funny. I know people who go to Duquesne take a course at Duquesne so they can get parking, because it's literally right across the street from the Pittsburgh plate glass window building, the ice house. So the glass house where the ice men cometh. So, it's a lovely school, Duquesne. Pretty area down there, but not on the basketball court for the Dukes. Not this year. Richmond, I agree. Let's see that one go by. Next time up, I think we're going to the Big Ten. No? Yes?
We are going to the Mountain West.
But if we weren't going to the Big Ten, we'd go to the Mountain West. Okay. Utah and Air Force.
I think you're thinking about the Nebraska game.
Oh, yeah. You're right. My bad.
Utah State, they're a big favorite at home over Air Force. Granted, this was a little bit scary because Air Force likes to suck all the air out of the ball because, they say fly high with the Air Force.
Right.
In basketball, that's not the case. It's stay low. As in, keep the point. Air Force 10-9, Utah State 12-9 in their first season under Ryan Odom. Everybody, of course, remembers Odom for being the coach at, right in your backyard, Jim, UMBC, when the Retrievers beat Virginia in the NCAA tournament a few years ago. But then Craig Smith left Utah State to go to Utah. Odom left UMBC to take Utah State. And here we are. The Aggies are just 5-4 at home this season. Air Force 2 on the road. Like we said, Air Force takes the air out of the ball completely. They're 351st in scoring off. They're second worst when it comes to free throws made per game. It's 2.9. And they're in the bottom 10 in free throw attempts per game. But don't worry, because they don't make them when they get there anyway. They're 15% free throw, 62.8%. They're second worst in the league, or the nation, I should say, in rebounding. So you're going to face a Utah State team that is there to be better than 25 points per game. Their 29th field goal percentage is 47.7%. They're 8th in assists. They're 89th in free throw shooting at 70%. Utah State 4-1 in their last 5 after giving up less than 50 points in their last game. They're 8-2 in their last 10 after a straight-up win by at least 20 points. They're coming up with 78-49 drubbing of Nevada on the road. They're 6-2 in their last 8, and they are 20-8 in their last 28 straight-up win. Rylan Jones is expected to be back tonight after the last couple games of concussion for the Aggies. For Utah State to avenge the 2-point loss at the Air Force Academy earlier in the season by winning convincingly in Logan. For the split of this season here.
It looks like the of the service academies that this year that Navy has the better of the 3 basketball programs.
Yeah, until you saw Navy melt down the other day against Army, they put 27-point lead in the second half of the overtime.
Yes, I texted our friend Pete Medhurst, who was in the fetal position after the game was over. And told me he didn't know what happened, but he said, as always, because Pete is a very, upbeat guy, that will bounce back. So, all right.
Well, Pete was probably still in the fetal position watching the Wizards holding that 35-point lead to the Clippers last week, too. He might have never came out of it.
That's true.
And now, just for James, he asked about Ohio Ball State. We'll do that before we move on to the ice, Jim. Ohio favored by 12.5 points at home tonight against the Cardinals. Ohio is 16-3. They're 10-1 at home. Ball State, even their record at 10-10, but they're just 2-6 on the road. The Cardinals have won 3 straight, but if you look at who they've beaten, I was really impressed. 3 wins over Miami of Ohio, Northern Illinois, and Western Michigan. Jim, you, myself, and we can take Elliot and Nathan and James and Joaquin and a couple other of our viewers, and we can probably beat Western Michigan. Let's face it, the Broncos are not good as a basketball team. Hey, you scored 2 points in the so
yeah, Birdsong, yes. Of course, you would have to run over me, but that's okay. I'll give it up for the team. Take one for the team. At least I hit my 3 shots.
Ball State is 29th in scoring defense, giving up 76 points a game. Their 283rd field goal percentage, 34.7%. They're 305th in 3-point defense. Ohio is an above-average offensive team. You've got some good weapons there with the Bobcat. You got to look out for another big game from double check the name here so I don't get it wrong. Jason Carter, of course, and Ben Vandervis. That's what I always cross up his name.
Yeah.
I expect that Ohio should have little problem dealing with this on the road in this one, and improve to 17-3 or their 11th home win of the season. The Cardinals will fall back under 500. I just don't have any faith in them, especially when you see that Ohio has won 2 straight in the series, 4 of the last 5, and going back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 of the last 14 meetings between those teams.
Wow. Well, all right. Let's go to the ice because today. Chris is going to tell you why you really, you really must be an NHL fan to want to wager on the NHL this evening. So let's start with this one, and Chris, you can explain what we're talking about here, buddy.
Yeah, if you're a hockey fan, there are a lot of ugly money lines on these games today. There are a lot of one-sided matchups. We'll talk about some of them later in the show as well. As you see here, Tampa Bay off at -350 on the money line at home over San Jose. That's why I have the puck line in there. The Lightning obviously play very well at home. Sharks 22-23 this year. Tampa Bay 29-6. They keep trying to chase down the Florida Panthers, who, if you were here yesterday, we told you would beat Columbus, and that game would go over the total. And boy, it's scary when you look at Florida. And Sam Reinhart had a hat trick in the second period. By the time that was over, Anton Lundell had, I think, 6 points, and Florida rolled to an 8-4 win over Columbus in that one. Here, Tampa Bay 15-4-4 at home. The Sharks 11-11-1 on the road. The Lightning 7th in goals per game, 3.3 first. It's going to be James Reimer, 13-2 with 281 goals against. Shutout in net for the Sharks. Unfortunately for him, he'll face Andrei Vasilevsky, 24-7-4 with 224 goals against. 2 shutouts. Everybody knows Vasilevsky is dominant when it comes to the Amalie Arena. Looking at a San Jose team that 1-9 last 10 games, underdog. They're 1-6 in their last 7 as an underdog on the road. 1-5 in their last 6 against teams from the Eastern Conference. That one win in that 6-game stretch was a nice thing for our buddy Ryan, who went to the Capitals this
Right,
week.
yeah.
Where Washington decided that they thought that in order to win, you had to hit the post a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Tampa Bay 5-1 in their last 6 on 2 days of rest. 2 in their last 10 against the West. They're 75-20 in their last 95 for scoring 2 goals or less. And San Jose has lost the last 4 meetings between the teams. Going on the road, making that transition from East Coast to West Coast is tough on anybody. Look at who San Jose has played so far on this road trip. They played the Rangers, the Capitals, and the Hurricanes. And you face 3 really good teams. Now you got to face another one. It doesn't go well for San Jose here. Look for Tampa Bay. Vasilevsky to turn in another good outing. And Lightning skate away with a victory on home ice.
And what we said before will be a night when all will wear black in Amalie Arena because of Tom Brady choosing to retire. So there you go.
One thing to add to that, Jim, Nikita Kucherov will not play tonight for Tampa Bay. It's going to be the same lineup they had Saturday night, but I don't think that makes that difference when you've got the rest of those guys.
Is he still hurt, or what happened there with Kucherov?
I believe Kucherov has an illness. Let me double check the report here real quick. They're still. He gets out of the COVID protocol with everything. His condition.
Okay. I was just curious whether that was that, or he was going to be a healthy scratch, or what they were doing. Sometimes they do that if a guy.
I think they're just buying time with the All-Star break coming. Yeah. Give him another few days.
There's no reason. Yeah, no reason to play him. Certainly tonight, no reason to play him. But definitely not Look, we all know Vasilevsky.
His girlfriend does not want to see Brady retire.
I'm sorry, what? His girlfriend.
Elliot said his girlfriend doesn't want to see Brady retire.
Well, Elliot, I'm with your girlfriend on that, but unfortunately, we don't have the say in there.
But on the flip side, Elliot says he's glad he's retired.
Hey, Elliot, just out
I
of
like
curiosity,
driving
why?
between people in a relationship.
So, yeah, just out of curiosity, Elliot, why? Why are you glad he's retiring? I'm just curious. By the way, because of
I'm glad he's retiring too. But,
there you go. Well, we got just as a homage to James, smash the like button and the subscribe button. Would you do it? Greatly appreciate it. Come on, guys. We know you can do it for us, huh? Just give us a like and hit the subscribe button. Greatly appreciate it. And let's go from Amalie Arena down on the waterfront in Tampa to the Rangers and the Panthers as we talk a little bit more about two hockey teams in the state of Florida.
Yeah, we're going to go to Madison Square Garden for this one, Jim. The Rangers, an underdog at home against the hot Panthers of Florida. They lead the Atlantic Division at the 32-9-5 mark. The Rangers are no slouches, though. They're 29-13-4. And they're 14-4-2 at home. The big boost for them, Florida 9-6-5 on the road. And, of course, like we just said, Florida's playing the second game back-to-back. They beat up on Columbus again. People were like, well, all those other wins that they had over Columbus in Florida. Well, guess what? They went to Columbus and put 8 goals on the scoreboard. If that doesn't tell you that Columbus is in a bad way, I don't know what to tell you. Bobrovsky started last night, so the expectation is Spencer Knight, 9-5-1 with 316 goals against an 899 save percentage will get the start. Unfortunately, the one thing you don't want to do is start your backup goalie against the Rangers when Igor Shesterkin is between the pipes. Shesterkin 25-2 with a 210 goals against 937 save percentage and 3 shutouts. Florida, they're playing their third game in 4 nights. They're 2-5. They're the last 7 times that they played a 3-game and 4-night situation. They're 1-5 in their last 6 games, but it's the 4th game of a 4-game and 6-night stretch. The Rangers 6-1 in their last 7 at home. They're 17-4 in their last 21 against the Eastern Conference. They're 16-5 in their last 21 against the Atlantic Division. And Florida has struggled playing at Madison Square Garden. They're 5-11 in the last 16 meetings in New York. After that big win over Columbus, Florida second game back-to-back, knowing the All-Star break is coming, might be a little bit of a letdown here. I think the Rangers will get some value when we get the win here.
Yeah, and the Rangers are in that scrum of 4 teams in the Metro that any one of them, frankly, could end up winning that division. And the Panthers,
one of those teams is end up as a wild card because you only get 3 guaranteed spots in the division.
Right. And you've got the Panthers and the Lightning, in a duke it out situation in that division as well. So there's a lot of hockey left to be played because, as we know, as you said, the All-Star break's coming up, and it's basically who's going to get hot, as it usually works out. Who gets hot in mid-February and takes them, to the end of March, whenever the playoffs begin in April. So we'll see. But there's the good news is there's some really good hockey teams. The bad news is, as you just said, Chris, some of them are going to be sitting on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I mean that's the bad part. I mean, I like the way it used to be where you took the top 4 teams from each division, but that that's back in the 80s when people had 21 teams. But there was a lot more familiarity, and of course, the saying goes, familiarity breeds contempt.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure you remember the old series you used to see in the Battle of when you see the Canadians and the Nordiques.
Sure.
Or you'd see the Sabres and the Bruins, or series like that, Rangers and the Islanders, the Flyers and anybody, because the Flyers beat everyone.
Yeah. I always remember who was it? Derek Sanderson from the Flyers, who seemingly had no teeth after he finished his career in Philadelphia. He and Bobby Clark. They were the instigators of the Broad Street Bullies. But I mean, I also, as you said, the Nordiques and Montreal was always fun because you had 2 fan bases that yelled at each other in French. So it was definitely a bilingual and very entertaining situation. All right, so the Rangers and Panthers. And so now, I guess we're headed to the association.
Yep, and real quick, John says maybe Tom Brady can coach IUPUI.
You know, John, anything's possible. I'm looking forward to John's new movie, by the way. So.
And Elliot said the two reasons he let Brady retire is he doesn't want to see him get hurt because he's his age. Okay. And two, no, he doesn't have to get drool from his girlfriend's mouth while they're watching Tampa Bay.
You know, Elliot, those are very good reasons. Very good reasons. So, not sure I've seen those before. There's a lot of reasons to want him to go. That was a new one for me. All right, bud. Let's move on to the association.
Yep. Well, let's start by I see Joaquin and Nathan and everybody talking about how the Grizzlies killed them yesterday. Sadly, the line shifted very quickly after Joel Embiid was ruled out for Philadelphia. Had you been able to jump on it when Philadelphia was an underdog, that one might have panned out a little better for you. Unfortunately, I know pretty quickly that line moved. Well, it was a disappointment to Memphis losing that game, but they hung in there pretty well. I have to give them credit where due to Philadelphia for actually winning at home. I mean, they do very often. Mm-hmm. But yeah, tonight we'll talk about the Bulls. The United Center against everybody's favorite team,
or as we like to call them, the I-4 Magic, because they have Lakeland and Orlando that pretty much ends up playing. So yeah.
Orlando's 11-40, and the Bulls are 31-18. Chicago's 18-6 at the United Center. Magic 6-22 on the road. Orlando doesn't score. Let's be honest. They're 28th in scoring offense, 102.5 points per game. They're 28th in field goal percentage. They're 27th in three-point shooting. If it boils down to shooting the ball, Orlando can't do it. Just take it from there. Chicago's 10th in scoring offense at 111 points a game. They're 2nd in field goal percentage. They're 2nd in three-point shooting. Orlando 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 on Tuesday. Chicago 7-1 in their last 8. They're 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 at home against teams with a road winning percentage below 400. They're 4-1 in their last 5 as a home favorite. They're 8-3 in their last 11 at home period. Bulls are 23-9 in their last 32 at home against teams with a losing road record. Just for an update on the injury report, because I know everybody likes to know what's going on. Who might play, who won't play. For Orlando, you won't see R.J. Hampton. He's out with that MCL sprain and a bone bruise. Of course, Michael Carter-Williams, Markelle Fulton, Jonathan Isaac, each one more. None of them have played this season. So, for them tonight. Well, for the Bulls, Lonzo Ball out after that knee surgery for the meniscus tear. Alex Cruz out with a broken wrist. Jones Jr. out with a broken finger. Pedro Williams out with that wrist surgery that he had way back in October. Green is probable sore ankle. But let's say that you're facing Orlando. You still got DeMar DeRozan. You still got Levine. You got Vucevic. You can probably play Orlando 3 at a time. Probably win. Look for the Bulls to avenge their loss earlier this week to Orlando as they get the.
So then we've got one of the best teams in the East, and the Bulls taking on one of the not so good teams in the East in the Orlando Magic. But if you're a Magic fan, and there are a few of them out there, you got a good young team. If they can just start to stay healthy and B, add a few little bits here and there, they could be very competitive in a reasonably short period of time. It's not going to be this year, but
There's a few Orlando fans out there. Who are they, and why are they masochists?
Well, they may be, for all I know, but there are a few out there. So you want to keep the faith, right? That's all you can ask for. All right, so the Bulls.
That's true.
Bulls and Magic, and up on the next panel for the Nuggets. These are two. We've seen the Timberwolves a lot, but this is not one of the. We don't often see the Nuggets here, so it's kind of fun to see the team from the Mile High City make it to the show.
That's because I hate the Nuggets.
Oh, man, what is it with you today? You don't like Brady. You don't like the Nuggets. What is it? Is this a grumpy Tuesday? What's the deal here?
In the Northwest Division, they knocked Utah out of the playoffs a couple of years ago when Utah blew a 3-1 series lead.
True.
About 800. And I don't like Brady because he dominated Buffalo in the AFC East for 17, 18 years.
These are fine. I mean, it's these are all legitimate reasons.
Sometimes, Denver, sometimes the matchups that Denver gets, aren't the most favorable. Here, I'm surprised that Denver is actually an underdog going to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Nuggets 28-21. Minnesota's a 500 team. I give the Timberwolves a ton of credit. I wouldn't have expected them to be at 500 given how poorly they've played over the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Denver's 15-12 on the road. Minnesota 14-10 at home. Minnesota, they're 7th in scoring offense, but they don't shoot well. They're 24th in field goal percentage. They're 21st in three-point shooting. Meanwhile, Denver's a middle-of-the-pack team offensively, 14th in scoring offense, but they're 4th in field goal percentage, 37.1%. Now, you look at those numbers and you're like, why is Minnesota 7th in scoring when they can shoot? Well, Minnesota plays at a very fast tempo. I believe, I'm going to pull it up to make sure I give you the correct number when people give bad information. And I'm not going to do that if I can help it. The Timberwolves are 4th in the league in pace at 99.9 possessions a game. Denver's 22nd. So the Nuggets are more methodical, but, by being methodical, they get better shots.
Right.
Now, you look at the Nuggets team, and they're coming out of a 136-100 pasting of the Bucks.
Hope you had the over on that one.
Yeah. Minnesota coming in of a win over the Jazz, unfortunately, but Utah's playing minus half their team right now. I just don't understand. I get Minnesota's at home. I don't think that they should be favored here.
Mm-hmm.
Down to it, Denver has played well. They're 23-4-1 against the spread in the last 28 meetings between these teams in Minnesota. I'll take the points of Nikola Jokic in this one because how do you go against a guy like Jokic? It's hard to match up with him. Even Karl Anthony Towns have a tough time matching up. The injury report: Patrick Griffin probable with an ankle sprain. Josh Okogie questionable. D'Angelo Russell doubtful tonight for the Timberwolves with a shin contusion. McKinley Wright is down in the G League. Meanwhile, Denver, Jokic is questionable. I think he's going to play. Jamal Murray, of course, out. Still, Mike Porter Jr. out of course. And Marcus Cousins, questionable foot sprain. He was not able to go after the Bucks let him go. A 10-day contract because, hey, why not?
Well, I'll tell you what, before we go to two for the money, let's talk again about our friends from Caesars, because they've got an outstanding new offer for you, but you have to use their Caesars Sportsbook app. Okay, so just go to the App Store or to Google Play, download it. Now, here's what's going to happen. They're going to match your first deposit with a free bet up to $1,500 when you deposit at least $50. Now, of course, you have to enter the promo code, which we have there in the show box and also scrolling across the screen, which is WINNERS, and that's WINNERSCZR, which just happens to be the stock abbreviation for Caesars. So there you go. So the deal is a fun one. You got to use the Sportsbook app from Caesars. Download it to your phone, which, as I said before, you can get at the App Store if you're an iPhone person, or you can get it at Google Play if you're an Android person. They're going to match your first deposit with a free bet up to $1,500 when you deposit at least $50. Okay, so by all means, that's a great deal, and we thank the folks at Caesars Sportsbook for giving those of you out there an opportunity to bet responsibly, and to do so for all of you over the age of 21. So there we go, a little business out of the way, and now we get to two for the money, and there's going to be some fun two for the money today. I had a chance to see him a little ahead of time, and Chris has done a nice job on two for the money. Here we go, Chris.
like I said, Tampa Bay. I put just the puck line there. If you're really a glutton for punishment and want to lay the -350, be my guest over San Jose, and the Sharks are going to be a little banged up here. The Bulls, we said, -8.5 over Orlando. It's tough to argue with Chicago at the United Center. Orlando, what can we say about them other than at least they're not playing Houston? Nobody would watch that game. On the ice, I like Winnipeg, -165 over Philadelphia. I know the Flyers actually broke their losing skid with that impressive win over the Kings the other day, where they blew a third period lead and then had to get overtime. But you're facing a Winnipeg team that's been better under interim coach Dave Lowry. The Flyers are still terrible. They're not getting any better anytime soon. And, the Jets are trying to make a push up in the Central Division standings.
Mm-hmm.
They come in a win over St. Louis. It's going to be Connor Hellebuyck between the Winnipeg against Carter Hart. You can't trust Carter Hart. I can't trust Martin Jones. I'd rather have Pelly Lindbergh in net for Philadelphia.
Or Charles Lindbergh. Yes. Or Charles Lindbergh, either one.
Sure. I would ride the Winnipeg Jets there. And like we said, Richmond over Duquesne, the Dukes, terrible at home, terrible on the road, terrible on neutral floors. Other than that, they're great. Richmond.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you. Go ahead.
They take Richmond on the road to get the win in that contest.
We got a couple quick questions. Let's hit them for you. Ready? This one's coming from Jennifer. Sure. Jennifer wants to know North Carolina, Iowa State, and Texas Tech. Now, I assume they're not playing each other because that'd be 3-1, but 2-1.
North Carolina, we've got coming up, so I can cover that one then. Iowa State, they lost to Kansas by 1 in Allen Fieldhouse a few weeks ago. This game, of course, at the James H. Coliseum in Ames. I actually talked about this game for Winners and Whiners because it was one of the ones that I did. I like the fact that Iowa State is coming off a couple wins in a row. They beat Missouri comfortably in the Big 12 SEC Challenge the weekend. Meanwhile, Bill Self's Kansas team was routed by Kentucky at the Allen Fieldhouse, losing 80-62. The problem with the Jayhawks is they don't have a ton of scoring depth past Ochai Agbaji and Christian Braun, and it's going to be tough to score against the Cyclones. EJ Otzelberger, he couldn't play defense at UNLV, but they're playing well up there in Ames. I think Iowa State's going to get the win at home. As far as Texas Tech, boy, that's the Chris Beard revenge game because Chris Beard was the coach there in Lubbock, and he went and took the job at Texas when Shaka Smart got canned. And then Smart took the job at Marquette. Mark Adams has done a great job with Texas Tech. They went and beat Mississippi State by 26 in the Big 12 SEC Challenge over the weekend. I get that Texas slipped past Tennessee in that. They won 52-51, but here's the thing with Texas. They led that game 51-35, 5:34 to go, and gave up 16 straight points. They scored 1 point in the final 5.5 minutes. That came on a free throw by Timmy Allen with 6 seconds to go. Sure, they're playing good defense, but I don't think that the Longhorns can contend with what Texas Tech brings to the table, especially at home. The Red Raiders are unbeaten in Margaret Arena this season, including wins over Iowa State and Kansas and Oklahoma State and West Virginia. Not to mention they have that road win at Baylor. And they beat Tennessee earlier this year on the neutral floor. Mm-hmm. Texas Tech is not going to be afraid of what Chris Beard rolls in from Austin in that one. I'm taking the Red Raiders over the Longhorns.
Okay, here's another one. This is from Nathan. He said he likes Richmond as well. But he also asked a question having to do with Toledo in Eastern Michigan in the MAC.
Funnily enough, I wrote that game for Winners and Whiners too.
There you go.
Let's face it, Eastern Michigan is not a good basketball team. I don't care what anybody was going to tell you. about the Eagles. They're not a good team. They beat Miami of Ohio. But before that, they lost to Northern Illinois, Kent State, Akron, and Bowling Green. Meanwhile, you're facing an Ohio team that is 16-3. They won 11 of their last 12. Their one loss was a loss to Toledo. And we know how the Rockets are playing. Oh, sorry, we're talking about Toledo. Never mind.
Right.
No, wait. Yeah, we're talking about Toledo. Okay. I got crossed up because I was thinking of Ohio, because that's who Eastern Michigan played Thursday.
Yeah, see, there it is.
Toledo's won 10 of 11 in that stretch. They beat Marshall by 32. They beat Western Michigan by 27. They beat Central Michigan by 28. They beat Northern Illinois by 31. They beat Bowling Green by 13. Ball State by 13. Ohio by 18. They beat Columbia by 11. They beat Akron by 8. They're playing here. I know it's in Ypsilanti at the EMU Convocation Center. You know what? I don't care. You can play this one on Mars. Todd Kowalczyk's team is a dangerous offensive team. Eastern Michigan, not so much. I like the Rockets. I think the Rockets are going to win by probably 15, 17 points. So 10.5 seems like a bonus to me.
Nathan agrees. As you can see, he's got the Rocket icon there.
Yeah, I like Toledo.
There's one from Jennifer again. Cal and Stanford. Okay, those are the two. This is the Pac-12 version of the SAT University game. So, neither one of those teams are that good. Oh man.
Well, I mean, Cal
played,
started off good.
Yeah, Cal played UCLA pretty well the other day. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah. But they lost to UCLA by 24. Then they hung against USC and lost by 7.
Oh, it was USC. Right.
Yeah, but Cal was 9-5. Unfortunately, now they're 9-12. They've lost 7 in a row. Now I know 4 of those losses were a pair each to USC and UCLA. But you look in the middle of that stretch, and they lost to Washington and Washington State. They're 0-7, I think, on the road. 0-6. Okay, 0-6. Stanford, Stanford's been up and down. They lost to UCLA on Saturday, which is a surprise. But you have to remember, they beat USC twice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, I didn't beat USC Thursday. But yeah, so they beat USC twice. And they have that win over Wyoming on a neutral floor. I think Stanford, they're playing at home in Palo Alto. They're 8-1 at the Maples Pavilion. I think that Stanford should come up with the victory in that one. I just don't have enough faith in what Cal does. Mark Fox doesn't have weapons that he needs there at Cal Berkeley. Losing Matt Bradley in the transfer portal last season was a big blow to them.
Let's go 4 for the show, my friend.
Alrighty, 4 for the show. Look at that. There it is. Well, look, I had Stanford and Cal on there. I'll be damned. Forgot I put it in. That's what happens when you do these things in the afternoon. Detroit minus 2.5 over the Pelicans. The Pelicans playing the second game of back-to-back. They lost yesterday to Cleveland. Detroit, they came back and beat Cleveland on Sunday, which was impressive because Cade Cunningham didn't score in the first half and still ended up with a triple double. I like the Pistons at home in that one. Injury report shows that New Orleans, I want to see who they're missing. New Orleans, Josh Hurt is out with a knee bruise. Brandon Ingram is questionable. We don't have to talk about Zion Williamson because we know. For Detroit, Josh Jackson is doubtful with a back spasms. Other than that, it's the usual characters for them. I guess Jeremy Grant might make his return tonight, as will Kelly Olynyk. That's the hope anyway. They're not listed on the injury report as of right now, which would be a boost for them because Grant could be scoring better than 20 points a game, but he hasn't played since breaking his thumb in December. But it'd still be a nice boost for them. We've got Fresno State over San Jose State. The Spartans, I tried backing them last week. It blew up because they got run over by New Mexico. So I learned my lesson from that. San Jose State not going to do well here against Fresno State team that's pretty good. The Islanders, for our buddy John, I don't know if he's going to watch the game at the UBS Arena tonight. They're going off at minus. It's down to 235 now. It was 260 when I did this. Up line is plus 100 and minus 1.5 over a Senators team that, of course, showed up last night and beat the Edmonton Oilers 3-2 in a shootout. But playing a second game back-to-back doesn't work for them here. But for the Islanders, like we just said, based on Stanford Cal, I'm going to go with Stanford at the Maple Pavilion for the Golden Bears.
Yeah, we already talked about those ones. All right, so here's the deal. We're now going to our menu, folks. And this one, Chris is going to blow through and hit the highlights because there's a lot of interesting stuff on tonight's, go for it all. And here is that shoot for the shot in the dark.
Yeah, we're going to start with Michigan and Nebraska now. Everybody's like, wow, that's a big number because Michigan is playing bad basketball. Well, guess what? They're playing Nebraska. I don't think we have to say a whole lot about
I was going to say, moving on. Yes.
Just for the sake of it, for those of you that haven't seen us talk about Nebraska, Nebraska started the year 5-2. Since then, they are 1-13. Their one win in that stretch was a win over Kennesaw State. They're 0-10 in the Big Ten. They just lost to Rutgers at home. They lost to Indiana at home. They lost to Wisconsin at home. When they played Michigan at home, they lost by 35. That's all I need to say about Nebraska.
Yeah.
Like we just talked about, North Carolina minus 3.5 over Louisville. Louisville, they fired Chris Mack. A lot of talk about who they might get for their next coach. It's not going to help them tonight. Hubert Davis, the Tar Heels. I wasn't crazy about the hire when they brought him in, but I mean, if they're going to bring in somebody with familiarity with the program, he's the man. They come in on 3 straight wins. They beat Virginia Tech. They beat Boston College. They whipped NC State. I think they should be able to go on the road and take care of a team that is. I don't know if fractured is the right word, but sputtering might be better. The Cardinals have won 6 of their last 7, including 3 straight. They fell to Duke at home over the weekend. Before that, they lost to Virginia and game. They've also lost to Pitt, NC State, and Florida State, and that's a win over Boston College. Then, like we said, Toledo over Eastern Michigan, not good. Toledo, very good. That pretty much racked that one up. And Virginia, minus 9 over Boston College. We just talked about Boston College and Louisville.
Right.
Virginia. When Virginia loses games, they tend to get pissed off, and then they have really good defense and stuff. They're coming off that loss to Notre Dame at Notre Dame. You look at their last losses; they lost to NC State, then they shut down Louisville and held them to 52. They lost to Wake Forest; they held Pitt to 51. They lost to North Carolina; they held Virginia Tech to 52. That's Tony Bennett's MO. They're going to suck the air out of the ball. They're going to grind every possession. They're going to hold the ball for 27, 28 seconds out of the shot clock. And they're going to find ways to make it where you don't get a shot. I don't think Boston College here.
The next one.
9-11.
The next one's easy. Phoenix is good. Brooklyn is not as good.
Well, it's not that Brooklyn's not good. It's that Brooklyn is.
No, I didn't say they weren't. I didn't say they weren't good. I said they're not as good. That's what I.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you won't see Marcus Aldridge. You won't see Durant. You won't see Joe Harris. You won't see Paul Millsap. Harden is probable with a hamstring. He missed the game against Golden State Saturday night. The Suns, DeAndre Ayton has been upgraded to questionable. So is Jay Crowder. Frank Kaminsky, Abdel Nader, Cameron Payne, Dario Saric, and Landry Shamet are all out for Phoenix, but I think playing at home, Phoenix has got too many weapons. If Durant was playing, it'd be a different story. If Durant was playing, the line wouldn't be sick. Yeah, let's be honest. Like I said, Nuggets and the Timberwolves, talked about that one already. Golden State minus 2.5 over San Antonio. I'm still waiting to see an update of what Golden State's going to do injury report-wise. They played last night against 122 to 108. Haven't seen any updates yet. They haven't submitted an injury report. But keep an eye out just in case, Golden State decides they're going to rest Curry or Thompson. Spurs don't have anybody on their injury report. They had DeJounte is questionable earlier, and they've taken him off, so he's going to play. Jakob Poeltl's going to play as well. He missed Sunday's game with a back injury. On the ice, we talked about this game yesterday. The Maple Leafs over the Bulls, and Austin Matthews' empty net goal late in the game sealed that one for a 6-4 Toronto win as the Leafs scored 4 in the third period to erase a 4-2 deficit and cover the puck line. I look for them to go on the road and do that tonight. Fun bet if you were looking at it. You didn't want to bet aside on that one. You can always play both teams to score in the first period. It's going off at plus 50. That one would have cashed for you last night, too. It was a 3-2 game after 20 minutes. Colorado, -1.5. And you see how prohibitive that is with the puck line. Well, let me tell you something, folks. If you bet the money line on this game, you are a masochist because Colorado is going off at -580 in this game. At the Ball Arena over Arizona. It'll be Karlovich Melka against Darcy Kemper. If you're a glutton for punishment, the Coyotes going off at +420. And finally, the same thing with Vegas and the Sabres. That game, Vegas going off at -470 on the puck line or the money line. The Sabres going off at +350. The expectation in net for that game, Craig Anderson expected to make his second start, missing 30-some games with an upper body injury against Robin Leonard. Could also be, to be a good chance for Buffalo to get reacclimated to seeing Jack Eichel, who they traded earlier this season. And finally, Skillwell, you're asking about UC Riverside in their contest against UC Davis. Jim led the Highlanders 11-6, the Aggies 8-7. UC Riverside, they played some decent basketball of late. They beat Cal State Fullerton over the weekend. They've won 4 out of 5 coming in, and they play pretty well at home. UC Davis has lost 3 of 4. They lost to Cal Poly, they lost to Fullerton, and they lost to Long Beach State. Those 2 last 2 games coming at home. Going on the road, I know that UC Davis beat Oregon State up earlier this year. The thing that always scares me about UC Davis is before loss to Sacramento State and a home loss to Jim's favorite school of all time, the Academy of Art. By 19 points to a school that nobody's ever heard of is pretty damning. To do it on your own floor is even worse. I would probably back the Highlanders in that contest, -5.5.
It's pretty wild. Well, let's. Any more questions before we get out of here?
Wow, Jennifer put together a whole cluster of a parlay there. Tulsa, Fresno State, Western Michigan,
Go ahead,
Miami,
pop it
Ohio,
up there so we can see it.
UConn, Auburn, and Texas Tech. Well, Virginia we talked about. Texas Tech we talked about. Toledo we talked about. Fresno State we talked about. Tulsa, I'm a little skittish. They're going to play at Wichita State. Tulsa, they just snapped 7-game losing streak and got their first conference win of the season. Unfortunately, Jim, I have to tell you that it came with a win over South Florida.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't be the first.
Wichita State coming in off 1-point loss to Tulane. They've dropped 5 of 6, but, in that stretch, they lost to Memphis, Houston, and Cincinnati. I just don't know if Tulsa's got the firepower to go on the road. They're 0-5 as the visiting team this year. I know they're getting 7.5 points, so it makes it a little bit better. I don't know if I would chase that one personally. As for Western Michigan, I have to look and see what they're playing because I looked at so many games this morning. Western Michigan, Northern Illinois. Wow, that's a glutton for punishment game. Northern Illinois is 5-13. Western Michigan is 4-16. Northern Illinois is 3-8 on the road. Western Michigan is 2-7 at home. I don't think you can pay somebody to take a run at that game on a parlay situation. When you look, Western Michigan has lost 10 straight. They're 0-9 in the conference. Northern Illinois has lost 5 straight. They're 2-6 in the conference. And Northern Illinois is getting 3.5 points. Yeah, that's just an ugly game to look at. I would probably take Northern Illinois just because Western Michigan hasn't beaten anybody. Let's see, Mississippi State and Miami of Ohio. Well, we just talked about Mississippi State getting walled by Texas Tech.
Right.
They're playing South Carolina. The Gamecocks, they played decent ball, but they're 2-4 on the road. Mississippi State 11-1 at home. I would probably take Mississippi State just because we know Frank Martin's team is terrible. UConn. See who UConn has. UConn is facing Creighton. Boy, 10.5 points is a lot of points to give if you're Huskies. I know they're at home, they're 9-1. And Creighton has been a mediocre road team, but that's a pretty big number to give up against a team that's fairly decent in conference play. You look at a Creighton team that, they lost to Butler, they lost to Xavier. They have wins over St. John's. They beat Marquette. They beat Villanova by 20. They beat BYU. That's a tough one. I would probably lean towards Creighton with the points. Auburn, they've struggled a little bit, but, they're playing at Alabama. Alabama's been too up and down this season. I would take Auburn at home with the point, or given the points. Miami of Ohio. Who does Miami of Ohio get this week? Another one of the doormats from
I was going to say, we hit a lot of the MAC teams already, so who's left?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out, because Bowling Green has Central Michigan. That one I knew. Kent State, 3-4 on the road. Miami of Ohio, 6-4 at home.
That's a pretty easy bus ride for them.
Yeah, they lost to Ball State. Kent State's coming in off wins over Bowling Green and Western Michigan. Kent State's won 4 out of 5. I would probably lean toward Kent State to take the point, just because they've been a little bit better. Let's see there. I think that's all of the ones in that.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. Hey, by the way, come back tomorrow and tell us how you did. That'd be definitely worthwhile. Well, folks, it's been a lot of fun. Stay tuned for the boys, Scott and Scott. They're coming up at 3:00 on the Winners and Whiners Sports Betting Network, and they have all kinds of interesting things that are going on there. Chris and I will be back tomorrow at 1:30. And
tomorrow's Wednesday.
No, we made other adjustments so we can be at 1:30 all the way across the board. So.
Oh, see, I didn't get this memo.
Yeah, that's a memo that should have been, but for sure, that way we're going to be here at 1:30 for everybody. Bring your questions, because as you know, the answer man is right there, and he's ready, willing, and able to do it for you. So, folks,
you can reach me on my Twitter or whatever else,
which is right there under his chin. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm usually around during the day.
Okay, gang, so. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow, 1:30, right here on the Winners and Whiners Sports Betting Network.